Hey everybody, Aaron here in the illustrious Aaron Tunes Studios, and today I want to talk to you about metaphor and simile and how to use them in your lyrics. Metaphor and simile are like freight trains of emotional description that you can roll into a song, and they're loaded with so much cargo that you don't have to describe because people understand it through the metaphor or simile, much like a real freight train. And I could have used a Trojan horse, but I picked freight train. So let's start out by defining what metaphor and simile are and explaining how they're different from one another. So first off, they are both ways to draw a comparison between two dissimilar things. And as we all learn in grade school, you can identify a simile because it incorporates the phrase like a, or as a, or than a. So for example, it might be like dry as a bone, or sly as a fox. Or more interestingly, you could say his face had more wrinkles than a trombone player's sleeve. And because those all contain the like a, or as a, or than a, they all come across as literally true. Now, on the other hand, metaphors don't come across as literally true because they don't incorporate that like a, or as a, or than a. So, for example, she cried an ocean of tears, or turn the pages of my mind. Or more interestingly, you could say, I am a prisoner in the chambers of your heart. And because they don't incorporate that phrase, they don't come across as literally true. And so this is an important distinction when you are using them in a song or in poetry, because a simile, because it comes across as literally true, it doesn't require any more explanation. If you say dry as a bone, then you're done. By the way, don't use that in the lyric, it's so cliche. But if you were, you could say that and you'd be done with it. Whereas if you use a metaphor, it requires more explanation. And so often a metaphor will become the entire lyric will be a metaphor, like Dust in the Wind by Kansas, for example. So then the next question becomes, now that you know the difference and you know how to use each in a song, then the question becomes, how do you come up with interesting metaphors? And the way I like to do that is to pick the thing that you want to describe, and then pick the trait that you want to describe about it, and then forget the thing, and only focus on the trait, and list everything you can think of that also has that trait. And with both simile and metaphor, you want the two things to be as different as possible. The more different they are, the more powerful it is. So the thing you want to describe and the trait about it that you're trying to describe. And then you forget about the thing, focus only on the trait, and list things that also have that trait. And then you pick one that is so different that it's crazy. And the more different you make the things, the more interesting it is. For example, what do an improper fraction and an SUV have in common? They're both top-heavy. What do a question mark and an old man have in common? Well, they're both hunched over. So let's do one now. And let's say that we want to describe the moon. And the trait that we want to describe is that it's big and round. So let's just say round. So the thing we want to describe is the moon. The trait we want to describe is that it's round. So now forget about the moon and just name things that are round. So the lid of this cup is round, or the light fixture on the ceiling is round. Pizza is round. You could say the moon hit my eye like a big pizza pie. That metaphor has been used. A manhole cover is round. The wheels on a car are round. You could go on and on naming things that are round, but let's just say a manhole cover. So now you can say, I spent the night under heaven's manhole cover, which sounds weird, but metaphors always sound weird. That's the editor part of your brain kicking in before it should. When you are coming up with these metaphors, they're all going to sound weird. Your brain is going to say, that is dumb. And that needs to be, you need to put a damper on that immediately, because you do not want to edit while you are creating. So let's go with I spent the night under heaven's manhole cover. And then you can continue, because that's a metaphor, you can continue to expand on that metaphor for the entire song. It feels like it needs more explanation. And you use the same idea, the same process to come up with similes, to find two things that are as dissimilar as possible that have that trait in common. Anyway, I hope you found all that useful. I hope you'll take it back and it will help you write better lyrics. And until next time, remember that music is its own reward.